Welcome to the Miami Herald Business Show. I'm Nyla Boodoo. Hurricane season's already here, and we've seen what havoc strong storms can cause for businesses. Bob Turk co-chairs the Labor and Employment Practice for Stearns Weaver Miller. Bob, tell me, what's the most important thing employers need to know now to be preparing for the storms?
I think one of the most important things for employers is to make sure they have their established line of communications open to their employees so that when a hurricane hits, they're able to be in contact with all their employees to let them know what's happening with the company, when they're shutting down, and who needs to be where in terms of if they're emergency personnel or other employees that need to stay on site. And then also after a hurricane hits, to make sure that you can communicate with employees, and if they can't come to work, they're able to contact the employer to let the employer know their status.
So the big thing, of course, is always payment during storms. What do you recommend in terms of what the law is and what employers should do in terms of paying workers?
Well, the Department of Labor, after Hurricane Katrina and Wilma, issued 2 letters that made it clear to employers what their obligations are. First, for non-exempt employees, those who are normally hourly, if they don't work, the law says they're not required to be paid. It gets a little bit more complicated with employees who are exempt from overtime. Those are usually your managerial, your administrative, your professional employees. The law requires that if they do any work during a work week, they're required to be paid their entire salary. So if a company shuts down in midweek, those employees, exempt employees, still need to be paid their full salary. Now, the employer can substitute vacation, sick time, or personal time, but that employee needs to be paid their full salary. And then when the company opens back up, an exempt employee who says, I can't come into work, if it's their decision not to come in, the employer can deduct from their salary full day pay for every day that they miss.
Given the current economic situation, obviously a couple of years ago when we had these storms, employers were pretty willing to, improve morale, pay out. What do you think is going to happen this year?
Well, I still believe in South Florida that if a major hurricane hits, employers are going to treat their employees with respect, with dignity, and empathy, and will pay their employees extra pay for, I would say, a few days after hurricane. Once the business opens back up, I think the employer then expects their employees to return to work.
Great. Thanks, Bob. Thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.